shit gets real. And I started to see the entity attached to me. And I met that motherfucker. And got to see it, got to feel it, got to identify it outside of myself. And that's what made it more, it made it click, and it made me more aware of what the fuck I was dealing with. And that's, I mean, I went through the Earth stage, the Virgo, the Capricorn from Woodshop, and the fucking Taurus. So then the Cancer energy came in, the Pisces energy came in, and what was next? The fucking Scorpio. And that was, yeah, some very deep shit. It was Pisces Scorpio mix. And it's fine. It's cool. But I started to see my Lilith in Leo, which my moon is in Leo too. So Lilith and my moon are right there. Luna, the black moon Lilith, and my moon sign, both in Leo. There's a very thin line between love and hate. Very thin line between loyalty and treason. Very thin line between the passion of love and the passion of it's very extreme, those two. It can teeter on the spectrum from here to here. So I had to do a lot of work from 2017 to now. I had to do a lot of work to find the equilibrium, to find the balance. And this is where all this Sagittarian energy is coming in for me. And the Gemini, I have Chiron and Gemini. So I'm dealing with a lot of amending my issues with the Gemini people, the Gemini energy. I share a planet with this motherfucker. You know, I have a cousin named Hermes, who is Mercury. I'm Mercurial rule. So is Gemini. Hermes was a twin, literally. He was a fucking jokester. He was so close to me, but yet we weren't very close, but we were closely bonded, if that makes sense. He pops up every now and again, let me know that he's around, that he's on my mind. You know, I let him know he's on my mind, and he'll do some shit, you know, in my environment, let me know that he's around. Earlier this year, I've told y'all I came into contact with the two twins that are associated with Mercury. They're considered fallen angels, but they weren't I'm not going to speak further on that, because it's still, I'm being prompted not to say certain things because it would be false. So I won't speak out of turn about it. But Raphael is associated with Mercury too. And I think that's the Virgoan aspect. And Kokabiel and Barakiel are more for Gemini as angel. That, you know, one is a teacher of astrology and intellect, and the other one is an instigator, likes to see the shock and awe. And I think this is where that Uranian influence is coming from that I'm so strongly connected to, even though my moon is opposite Aquarius. Maybe that too. But let me go. I get on the tangents. Let me go back. It's been 37 fucking minutes. Twin. I'm a twin. Every single person is a fucking twin. Not in relation to another person. You are your twin. Right? Masculine, feminine. But let me break it down a step further. In the beginning of my journey, I was paternal twins. My masculine was more dominant than my feminine. Like I told you, my feminine was underdeveloped. Had never been educated or ministered to or taught how to conduct myself as a woman, or to take care of womanly things, or the importance of the feminine, period. Not to say that I didn't have great women around me. I would say that they came into it on their own, and they figured that it was just common knowledge. I don't think they really realized how much they learned on their own, that the next woman would need her assistance. So I learned on my own, and that's where I am now, where I'm not leading with my masculine as I once was. I was the sportsman. I was the logical one. I was the practical. Because my feminine was so underdeveloped, my emotional state sabotaged my masculine role in society. It was the imbalance of emotions of the feminine aspect of me that would fear, doubt, give up, look for validation and different shit like that. It was the feminine part of me that really hampered my success. I was my own enemy. It was like having a docile woman at the house, and you have this very strong, capable man out there working in the field, not field, but like just in the workforce, and then he comes home to have to cater to and to coddle his wife because she doesn't know how to survive without him. That's kind of the aspect of the masculine and feminine that was within me. My twins were paternal. They didn't look alike. They didn't act alike. They didn't, one was dominant and one was recessive. So flipped and started to develop the feminine more, and coming into the feminine trusting the masculine's decision, not to doubt, not to second guess, not to cause mayhem when the masculine made a decision. See, the problem a lot of people are facing that they don't even realize, they don't trust anyone else because they don't trust their own decision and discernment. They've made choices in the past that were not in their best interest, and when it hit the fan and it got fucked up, they figured it was the trust that they put in someone else that fucked them up, instead of thinking, I don't trust myself to make this decision. I chose wrong, and I don't want to choose wrong again, so I won't trust anybody. No, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your own guidance. You don't trust your own wisdom. You don't trust your own intuition because you had an inkling and you had a nudge and you had the intuitive spurt, and you decided to doubt it because your feminine was underdeveloped. So your masculine made a decision based off the fears of the feminine, and now you're fucked up. So you think that it's everyone else that you should be mistrusting when it's really yourself. Fast forward to a lighter note, and the feminine is being developed. It is the nurturer, and it is the strong, the fearless, the knowing, the capable, everything. When it is paired with the strong masculine, when the masculine is just that fucking strong too, because you have people who have strong feminines and lack the masculine manpower to make the decision, to put in the action. So you have a lot of creative energy and you have a lot of intuition, but you don't have the action, and it's a lot of sloth, it's a lot of procrastination, and I experienced that too, where they would take turns slacking off, or their lower nature, the lower nature of the masculine would take over, and where the higher nature of the feminine would be very active, the masculine couldn't follow through because there was no surrender between the two of them. The masculine has to surrender his whole self to the feminine, in trust, in faith, in knowing that it makes him stronger. The feminine has to trust herself enough to surrender to the masculine, that she won't lose herself, but more so be integrated and accepted, and the energy that she's exuding will be put to use. This is the twin flame unit, the cohesion, which I learned in the mystery school, and I was looking at the engraving, xylograph, the wood engraving. It reminded me of when two people are in union and they have that surrender sex, for lack of a better term, when they're in consummation, they consume. It's a consuming going on, but two coming into one, a cohesion. It's a unity, right? This happens first within the self, where the feminine trusts that she will not lose anything by giving herself, and the masculine knows that he isn't losing himself and becoming lesser than by surrendering to the process. He's actually gaining a feminine edge, a mastery that a regular masculine aspect standing alone without a feminine cannot reach, cannot fathom. Even working for a company that my friend and I, we used to always go to this 50K meeting place, and we were talking, we started to see that all the successful people were actually they were climbing up their social ladder in their business, and they were reaching a lot of success, but they peaked at a certain point. And it was when they joined with another and they found their counterparts that they exceeded limits that previously they could not exceed alone. And that's what kind of solidified it for me in mind. And even the song that came to mind around that time, I dreamt it. And I told her, I said, whoa, this is kind of, it was like, I want you to take over control. And I thought it was talking about the organization. I'm like, hey, I don't know about this shit. But it was really more so the feminine and the masculine. Like, someone has to take the lead. Someone has to, moment of honesty. Someone's gotta take the lead tonight. Who's it gonna be? All these songs and shit have been coming to me recently, so I'm definitely on the right track. Somebody has to be the bold twin. Either the masculine or the feminine has to make the fucking decision. And that's where all confusion is gone. It's left behind, and you fucking know this is what must happen. I can perform these duties and do this routine every fucking day and use my masculine, but there is no fulfillment in this. My feminine is screaming to create, to do, to see, to know. And my potential is so untapped, and I'm just fucking suffocating in here. That's kind of, that's exactly what the fuck is happening. So it's like, let me the fuck out. I want to come out. I want to play now. I want to fucking play. And lo and behold, when the masculine steps back and lets the feminine come out, and the feminine can trust what she's doing is divinely guided, even if she don't know what the fuck divinely guided means, she just knows that she's doing it, and whatever the fuck it is, it's right. And the feminine, the masculine knows, I can let this happen. This is fine. I don't have to control this. This is fine. We're doing the right thing. Keep making them decisions, baby. You're doing a great job. You're looking good. You're feeling good. I trust this. I allow this. It's complete surrender. And this is happening in one fucking body. That's when the twins have become maternal and they mirror. Mírame is look at me, and it's so similar to mirror me. Even though they're two different phrases. Look at me, mirror me. And also, escúchame. Listen to me. Also, excuse me. Like, damn, you ain't hear me? Excuse me and escúchame. They're similar in dialect to me, but it's like one part of you speaks one language and the other part of you speaks another. So the reception, you have to bridge the gap of the dialect that you're speaking to yourself. You say one thing and mean another. And this is a lot of confusion, because outwardly you're doing the same shit. Something you're feeling here, you're saying something different, and it causes discord. This is the complete and exact opposite of cohesion, and the reason why a lot of people are not coming into union of self. And I'm spitting all over my camera. So, the point, I said a lot of words just then for 48 minutes to come back to my mystery school lesson of cohesion, unity of self, twin flame unity of self. I had a candle that broke wick. It was one single flame and it split into 3. And I started thinking of the Holy Trinity. Then it left 2, and it went back to 1. And I was like, damn. I could see where my perception has been split into different aspects, and where I see myself. Well, I'm acting as myself, and I can see my partner acting towards me. But then I stepped outside of the both of us, and I could see him, and I could see me, and what the interaction was doing. So, back to the Pisces. This motherfucker took me by storm. Okay. I started to develop telepathy on a very strong level. This is when I first noticed how my body would speak. Palpitating heartbeats, closing of the throat when I go to speak something, the touches on my skin, the muscle spasms in certain areas of my body, and started to decipher what the fuck they meant. He's well versed in telepathy, and whether he knows it or not, but I just have no doubt he knows what he's doing, but would never divulge it. That's a very high priestess type of thing. It kind of wanting to be consciously unaware of what's happening, but so consciously aware that it's crippling, and not knowing how to actually utilizing it in a negative form to coerce and get what they want. And I see this with a lot of Pisces. They do it, and sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it. But this one, I know he knows. It's Scorpio moon, and there's nothing. He cannot tell me that he doesn't. I just know. So fuck what you thought. Not fuck you, but fuck what you thought. If you thought I didn't know, I mean, you're the complete opposite me. We both have fixed moons. We have a lot of, your Venus is opposite mine. You are the exact opposite of me. Also, you are the shadow of me. So, you're very smart. And I know that you probably see this and you probably watch. You have your way of investigating and seeing what the fuck you need to see. So I'm just letting you know that I know. And I know a whole lot more than that. Back to the regularly scheduled program. So, total integration of the self. My twins have gone from paternal to maternal. Now they mirror one another. And I can see that in my career. I can see that in my dealings with other people. One thing that Pisces did teach me, though, was to work more in my North Node, in my Aries energy. To be more resolute. To be more solid in my decisions, in my values, in my morals. Do not break certain ethics that you have for the sacrifice of what? You're sacrificing yourself. You don't stand on something very firm and just stand on that shit, then you will fold. So I do thank him. I thank him a lot, actually. And we still talk from time to time, but it's very sparse. And I know what it is. The channel is kind of cut off. I think he's dating someone. That's That's when it usually happens. And I know this. No harm, no foul. I learned where my codependent tendencies were to feel like I needed to have contact, or needed to hear, or needed to, it was a validation thing. And this is what I'm saying, the real process. I experienced the alchemical marriage last year, in the beginning of the year 2018, but it took a long time to come out of that honeymoon stage and really understand what it meant that being alone was not lonely. I really like it, actually, and that kind of makes me dangerous when it comes to dating people who don't understand that yet. I had a suitor tell me that he missed me, and I couldn't really respond because I still had dreams of him and I still had contact with him. Different synchronicities, like very specific songs that we had listened to, sang to, resonated with, that I don't hear on a normal basis, would play in my environment when I know that he's about to text me. Those are my signals, those are my synchronicities, and I know. And same with the Pisces too. When he's heavily contemplating something about me or thinking about me, I'll get message, I'll get word of it. But like I said, I think he's occupied, so I'm not getting too much right now, which is fine. I know that the experiences I'm having now are to further prepare me for the life partner that is coming in, because he's going to have characteristics of all of these situationships that I've ever been in. And it's going to be a very, it's going to be all-encompassing. It's like every lesson I've learned, now this is the final exam coming up, where there could be anything from jealousy is not something I have to deal with anymore. Distance and having a person's physical presence isn't something that I grapple with anymore. Intimacy is something I know very well, but it's not something that I'm craving from a partner, because it's something I bring out of people. And I noticed that the intimacy I was craving was my own surrender. And once that really took place, then there was nothing that another person could really give me that would satisfy what I was feeling that I was missing. That total integration. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. And I'm okay either way. It's kind of that fucking simple. It's nothing outside of me that can be provided that will sustain me, because everything changes and everything is temporary, but I am one thing that I'll always have with me. So, was that it? Twins. Hey. Twins. From paternal to maternal. Alchemical marriage. Oh yeah. All chemistry. All chemical. It's the question came up, if somebody was ugly but they had everything that you desired, if they were in full alignment, would you still date them? And I said, well, if one person in alignment sees another person in alignment and they're not really all that attractive, they won't see the attractiveness in that way. And you start to shapeshift. Okay, that's the other point I was going to make. That young love I had when I was, prepubescent, I felt very old. Very, very old. like the end of my life old, holding hands with, you know, a life partner that I'm no longer sexually active with or something. We're just very content with each other's presence. That's kind of how old that love felt. And every partner that I had a situationship after that, I felt a different age. When I was 12 and I was dating him, I felt like I was in my 60s. That when I was, you know, younger than that, I was about 5, between 5 and 7, or 5 and 8, I would say. I felt like I was fucking 80, 90 years old. When I dated the young man when I was in woodshop, I felt like I was in my early 40s. When I reintroduced myself to the situation with the past life love from when I was 12, I was in my early 30s, which I chronologically, biologically I am now, but I'm not experiencing that because I've already dealt with that. But my love age is, my spiritual, emotional age is aging backwards. It's returning to a youth that my physical body once knew, but I'm going through stages. The Pisces, I felt like I was a teenager. Mind you, when I was in high school, I never went to a homecoming dance. I never went to a prom. I wasn't allowed to go to those things, or, you know, it was something that I was told no to. And it wasn't because I was a bad kid or anything. It just was like, well, you don't have a date. Why should you go? It was like losing my mom. I put everything else on the back burner. Just let me focus on school. It was a very Virgo thing. Work, school, work, school, work, school. And then I was drinking in between there. And it was just like, just drown it out. Just drown it out. Don't think about it. You know, so losing my mom didn't even hit me till years later. And I started to act out. But the shadow was always there. Watching porn and getting in trouble for that. And people didn't know that there was something wrong, when it was really people trying to take parts of me throughout, since I was fucking around that age of 5. And I told you my chemistry changed because my emotional self had been awakened. And that's when the boy in the neighborhood tried to corner me and show me himself. And my brother's friends tried to, you know, corner me and touch me. And I've never been actually, I've been assaulted, but not raped, if that makes sense. So those are things that I never told anybody because it would have disrupted the safety of our foundation, us living with other people, or even thinking so far ahead, like my brother could hurt one of these people and we would lose our protection. Our brother would no longer be around, and that would be my fault because I know his temper and I know how he would react to something like that. You know, nobody know I kept those things to myself to try to protect the situation that we had growing up. So dealing with the Pisces, I felt like I was in high school again. I was like, oh my God, I felt giddy. I felt like, oh my God, like motherfucker could have gave me his Letterman jacket type of, you know, he let me wear his class ring. That's how I felt. Internally, I felt like a high schooler. So now dealing with someone, and, you know, this is how I know I've come into alignment, because now this person is not evasive or withholding when it comes to speaking about commitment. This shows me, mírame, mirror me. This shows me where I am actually ready for that. And those other loves were at a distance, didn't live close to me, or weren't very open and trying to be intimate because I wasn't available for it. So I couldn't receive it either. That's very, very, you know, so people are like, why won't he give me a commitment? Why won't he, you know, want more with me? He doesn't want to build. You're not even available for that shit. You rather be in a place of constantly wanting than actually getting it. You're not ready to get it because you think you're going to fuck it up, or you're thinking it's going to turn out like everything else because you don't trust yourself to even go that far with someone. It's not that they're not trying to offer it to you. That's exactly where you're at. So I know I'm in a different place because this person is like speaking my language when it comes to the things that I want for myself. So that isn't the issue. I'm open and I'm ready and I'm willing. But he has a connection stuck to him. And I'm like, fuck. The Pisces is not gone. It's not a legal binding. It's a spiritual connection that's got us intertwined. And he has one that's legal and physical. Not active, but it's still written and in print and contractually binding. And I talked about contracts a couple months ago. So there is only so far that it can actually go before you hit that resistance. Which then the cycle comes back around for you to have to address, like what the peace dealer calls the final boss battle, where you have to go back into the ring with this particular person you have a contract with to amend and correct and finalize the details. And here we have like a Six of Pentacles type of vibe where you have to divide the assets and see what you get and what I get and what's fair and what you got from this, what I got from this. I appreciate, and really be accountable, be accepting, be forgiving, the whole nine. So it's not over. It's just not over. My Pisces, sir, it's not over. And it just is what the fuck it is. Just like on this particular person's side, it's not completely over. Whether he watches this and he gets upset, I can't. I said what I said, and I've spoken it before. And no attempt to push things along or to usher them along or to move them along. It's only so far I can go before you hit the brick wall of resistance, because it's two people trying to come towards each other, but they have a tether elsewhere. It's a spiritual tether. It's a legal tether. It's spiritual in nature. And there's no getting around that. There's no cutting corners. There is no trying to force. Because you will be halted. You will be. I will be. And I trust my knowing. So I'm enjoying myself. It's like right now I'm like 12. I feel 12. Except those aches and pains from working 2 12-hour shifts. That was real me-ish. Real physical, real human-like. But my eyes have different type of wonder. And that's what this spiritual journey is about, is a return to innocence, a return to a time where